Just when I think I finally have a moment to slow down, life somehow finds a way to speed back up. So far, Mr. Anderson still hasn't returned to the office. What's even more concerning is that his own team hasn't heard a single word from him. Until we know more, I've continued moving forward, bringing his team into my meetings, including them in projects, and doing my best to keep everything running smoothly while carrying the responsibilities of two collaborators. Then something unexpected caught my attention. As I was sorting through paperwork and reviewing project files, I noticed that two of the recently uploaded art in motion videos had music added to them. I paused. Wait, where did this music come from? I certainly hadn't selected it, and with everything that's been happening lately, I definitely hadn't had time to search for background tracks. Curious, I kept digging through the documents until I found an entire playlist. An entire playlist. Confused, I looked over at Mr. Anderson's assistant. Where is all of this music coming from? I asked. She smiled casually. Oh, that's from our new collaborator. I blinked. A new collaborator. Yes, honey, she laughed. I think his name is Mason. It's right here in the paperwork. Mason. For a moment, I searched my memory. I even mentally flipped through my calendar, trying to remember if I'd somehow overlooked a meeting or an introduction. Nothing. I couldn't remember a single conversation about bringing on another collaborator, especially not now. Not while I'm still trying to understand what happened to Mr. Anderson, she continued. He's actually been here for almost a week. A week? That completely caught me off guard. How had someone been working here for an entire week without me realizing it? Then again, lately my world has been moving so fast that the days have started blending together. She kept explaining. According to the paperwork, everyone calls him Music Master. I leaned back in my chair. Please don't let this become some kind of power struggle, I thought. I've seen people come into creative projects full of energy only to disappear a few days later. Others show up wanting to take control before they've even learned everyone's names. So I took a deep breath, reset my thoughts, and decided to stay positive. Okay, I said. Start from the beginning. Tell me everything. She nodded. His name is Mason, and he'll be handling much of the musical collaboration for the Art in Motion project. That immediately made sense. Art in Motion isn't just about creating beautiful artwork, it's about bringing those pieces to life, pairing visual storytelling with music that gives every image emotion, rhythm, and personality. As she talked, my mind drifted for just a moment. I realized I hadn't had a single chance to process everything happening in my own life. Between covering for Mr. Anderson, managing multiple projects, leading meetings, and trying to keep the office moving forward, life outside of work had almost come to a complete stop. My phone had been ringing nonstop. Text messages were piling up. Voicemails were waiting to be returned. There was an entire part of my personal life that had simply been placed on hold. Even my conversations with Mr. Emanite had become painfully short. How was your day? I barely make it through a sentence before exhaustion took over. Most nights I'd fall asleep with the phone still in my hand, and somehow he never hangs up. He simply stays there, sleeping on the other end of the line beside me. Meanwhile, Courtney continued talking. You know, she said, he's been sampling all kinds of music. The staff has noticed musicians coming in and out of his office all week. Sometimes you can actually hear the music echoing down the hallway. She laughed. You should see his office. He's turned it into this incredible little music den. There are records everywhere, instruments, sound equipment, and all kinds of creative things covering the walls. I couldn't help but smile. Wow, that actually sounds pretty interesting. For the first time all day, curiosity replaced stress. Maybe it was finally time to meet this mysterious music master. After all, he'd already been here for a week. It only made sense for us to formally introduce ourselves, learn about each other's roles, and hopefully remove one more unanswered question from my ever-growing calendar. I looked over at Courtney. Tell you what, why don't you have Mason, the music master, come in? I'd like to officially introduce myself. She smiled. Okay, I'll go get him. I finally leaned back in my chair, allowing myself what felt like the first real pause of the day. I still hadn't eaten, no lunch, no dinner, nothing. My phone had been buzzing nonstop for hours. Calls, Text messages, notifications, one after another until I finally did the only thing I could do. I muted everything. I'll explain it all to Mr. M later, I thought to myself. By the time I get home, I'll probably tell him the same thing I've been telling myself all day. Today was just one of those days. Just then, there was a gentle knock at my office door. Come in. The door slowly opened. Standing there was Mason, the music master. Immediately, I realized he wasn't anything like I had imagined. If I was being honest, I had expected someone with a huge ego, someone who walked into every room believing they were the most talented person there, the kind of personality that makes you wish you'd had a nice glass of wine before the meeting even started. Instead, he walked in quietly, calm, relaxed, almost shy. In fact, it almost seemed as though he was more nervous to meet me than I was to meet him. He extended his hand. The handshake wasn't overpowering or competitive. It was warm, welcoming, genuine. Hello, he said with a smile. I'm Mason. He paused for a second before letting out a small laugh. Although everyone around here calls me the music master, I smiled. Oh, the music master. Well, I replied, I'm Sunny. It's really nice to meet you, Sunny, he said. I've actually spent some time looking through your stories, reading your blogs, and checking out some of the projects you've created. I think they're amazing. His compliment caught me off guard. Well, thank you, Mason. As I started to add, Music Master, he gently interrupted me. You don't have to call me that. He laughed softly. It's just a nickname everyone gave me. I couldn't help but smile. There was something refreshingly humble about him. Still, a part of me couldn't help but wonder, how experienced is he, really? It wasn't judgment, it was curiosity. He simply didn't match the image I'd created in my mind of someone responsible for bringing the music of vibe to life. Apparently, he noticed the hesitation on my face. Before I could even ask the question, he smiled knowingly. I know what you're thinking. You don't think I'm the man for the job? I laughed nervously. He continued, but let me reassure you, I know music, rap, hip hop, gospel, soft rock, heavy metal, jazz, classical, you name it. I've studied it, played it, or worked around it. I simply nodded as he continued speaking. I like mixing styles together. I've even got my own band, he quickly added with a grin. But don't worry, it won't interfere with my work here. We perform at different clubs from time to time. We just love creating music. The more he talked, the more relaxed I became. If I was being completely honest, his personality was exactly what I needed that day. I simply didn't have the emotional energy left for another difficult personality or another power struggle. Instead, he brought calmness into the room, a genuinely good spirit, and I appreciated that. After a moment, he asked, so, what did you think about the art and motion pieces? I added some music before they were released. I thought maybe the artwork deserved a little extra life. I smiled. I actually liked it. The music fit surprisingly well. I just didn't realize they'd already mixed everything together and released it. He quickly shook his head. Oh, the artwork would have been beautiful. Either way. I'm not taking anything away from your vision. I just thought music could help people feel what the artwork was trying to say. That answer stayed with me because that's exactly what art in motion was meant to become. Art that could be heard as much as it could be seen. I nodded. I really like that idea. Then I remembered something important. There is another collaborator. You'll probably meet him soon. His name is Anderson. He's on a temporary leave of absence. Mason immediately responded, oh, so that's Anderson. I looked up. You've heard of him? He nodded. Not personally. I've just overheard people talking about him in the break room. They weren't really saying anything factual, mostly theories, a few jokes. I leaned forward. Did you hear anything useful? For just a second, I wondered if maybe, just maybe, he knew something the rest of us didn't, but he simply shook his head. No, nothing solid, just office gossip. He chuckled. I even heard someone joking that maybe the devil had something to do with it. I couldn't help but laugh. That one caught me completely off guard, mostly because I'd made that exact joke myself. During one of our earlier meetings, recovering from the laughter, I smiled. He'll be back. And when he is, the three of us will finally sit down together. I think we'll have some incredible ideas once everyone's in the same room. I'd like that, Mason replied. Then he smiled. You should stop by my office sometime. I'll give you the grand tour. I've turned it into a little music studio. Artists come through all the time. They bring me demos. We listen together. I'll even walk through the art gallery and see which songs naturally connect with different pieces. As he described it, and I found myself genuinely impressed. The excitement in his voice wasn't about himself. It was about creating, about collaboration, about helping art find its soundtrack. I stood and extended my hand once again. Thank you, Mason. It was really wonderful meeting you. I'm excited to work together. He smiled warmly as we shook hands again. There was still a small part of me that wondered, can he truly bring art in motion to life the way I imagine it? Only time would answer that question. But one thing already felt certain, he had talent. And perhaps even more importantly, he had the right heart. After he left my office, I quietly made my way back to my desk. For a long moment, I simply stood there looking out the window, watching the world continue moving while my mind replayed everything that had happened throughout the day. Then, with a tired smile, I opened my desk drawer, reached toward the very back, pulled out the tiny bottle of wine I kept hidden away, and took one small sip, not to celebrate, not to escape, just enough to finally let my shoulders relax before facing whatever tomorrow decided to bring.